Hey guys, today we're starting book 6 of the Analects of Confucius, which means we're starting 6.1. And this one's essentially about Confucius complimenting one of his more quieter disciples. And he says that he is worthy of becoming a really nice government official or minister or manager. And that is not because his family is good, actually, his dad is pretty terrible, but it's because of his own character. So we get to see Confucius's ideals, and we get to see, I guess, this disciple's virtues, and also we get to see how more Eastern people decide how to elect an official, or maybe just in ancient China, which is actually quite different from the way that we do it in the West. And yeah, without further ado, let's get started. 6.1, the master said, Yong or Zhonggong could be given a seat facing south. Okay, so like I said, Yong was a very quiet disciple of Confucius. And so he's not like Zilu, who we've earlier established that he was really impulsive and quick to speak and quick to act. Or Zhonggong, who was actually really good at public speaking. So he's a little bit like Yan Hui, Confucius's favorite disciple, but again, unfortunately, he died young. So we have said that Yan Hui had really good virtues. So he was very virtuous, and if he is considered as the first disciple, first place in all the disciples of Confucius who are considered virtuous, then Yong, who we are talking about today, would be the second. And Confucius says that he could be given a seat facing south. That's a very peculiar thing to say. But a south-facing seat was only reserved for really either leaders or generals. So Confucius is saying that Yong can be a minister or a manager or a leader of something. So again, with the south, this direction is a really good direction, and it's seen all over China, I guess. So when you go to ancient historical monuments and architecture, for example, if you go to the Emperor's Palace in Beijing, you'll realize that the south-facing door will always be the biggest, and wherever you go, that's most likely the case for any emperors or leaders. So that is because there's less wind and more sun there. And if we're talking about houses and stuff, then if your room is at the south, then that means the entire day you'll be filled with more sunlight, and you'll essentially become a happier, more positive person. Going back to Yong, people really admired him and thought he was very humble and again virtuous, and they felt like he could really teach other people Confucius's ideas very well, or at least that's what Xunzi, another Confucian philosopher, said about Yong. And the reason why he would make a very good leader was because he knew how to be really steady in his work. So he knows not to say random stuff and end up not doing it in the end, or he knows to take everything very seriously. And I guess in ancient China, of course, Confucius lived during the spring and autumn period, or at least the late spring and autumn period. And so since times were really rough back then, anyone could essentially be a leader if they were qualified enough. And this definition of qualified enough actually hasn't changed for a very long time. And it's essentially who can make the people feel the most safe and who can lead them in the best way, and who can think quietly and be calm, and who can think quietly and be calm and smart and actually do their duty. And of course, that essentially was Yong, and so that's why people respected him, and that's why he speaks less in general, because usually really extroverted people think less because they're speaking more. And so in leaders, usually they're looking for maybe more introverted people, but not too introverted in the way that you're just a hermit, but you have to have the ability to think things through and think about things more quietly. And this really differs from the Western sense of leadership, because usually, I mean, I live in America, so I think there's a lot of talk about debate and public speaking as well. And I think this is because we think that the better you are at decorating your words and persuading others despite if your opinion is wrong or right, and all that stuff, then that means you're qualified to be a leader, to be involved in politics. And I think that's the reason why politics is so messed up. Because like we've talked about earlier, not such a long time ago actually, Confucius actually considers decorated words and a pleasing countenance as really fake and really shameful, because you're just twisting the truth, and twisting the truth is never good. So that's the difference between Western and Eastern concepts of leadership. And the last thing, notice how Confucius doesn't say, look at this person's father. Oh, I realized that Yong's father was really, really bad, so that means he's not fit to be a leader. That's not the case. And that's because Confucius and a lot of other Chinese people, they consider diligence in like your own diligence has nothing to do with your families. Sure, it can play a huge role in how you act, but your family history doesn't define whether or not you're qualified for something. I guess merit decides that. Your own merit decides that. So even if your family was really poor, or you just had really bad parents, then if you yourself studied a lot, and if you found a way to rise up to the top and ace all of your tests, then you are considered a really good candidate for a leader. And so this is actually very, very fair, because they don't ask about your family history, not like colleges do here. And I do believe there's a question that's like, oh, did your siblings, or did your parents, or did some family member of yours attend blank university? And that totally changes how the admissions officer looks at your application. So essentially, they just look at your last name. And if your family is really rich or famous, or if they've been at this college before, then that usually means you get some extra points, which isn't all that fair. And so to conclude, although Yong's parents weren't that great, and he's kind of quiet as well, Confucius still praises him for his virtues and his diligence and his leadership. And yeah, that'll be all today, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!